Hi everyone, Scott with Dearly Departed Tours here. One of my favorite shows growing up in the 70s was called The Waltons. And The Waltons actually took place in Waltons Mountain, Virginia. It was actually created from a place invented from Earl Hamner Jr., who it was sort of a biographical show. He grew up in Schuyler, Virginia. Anyway, the show The Waltons was filmed at Warner Brothers Studios, which is very close to where I am right now. And instead of going all the way to Virginia to film a mountain, there it is. That is Waltons Mountain. And funny enough, the other side of that mountain is where the Hollywood sign is, Mount Lee. So it's kind of interesting, but Warner Brothers, saved some money, and instead of going there, they had it here. And over there is Forest Lawn. Here we are in beautiful downtown Burbank, and at the same time, Waltons Mountain. In front of me is my Waltons collection. I've been a huge fan of the TV show since it was on. I don't know why, in particular, it struck a note with me. I lived in Detroit, and I never knew any kind of small town life, and it's still something I've always kind of fantasized about. I don't know the reality if I'd like it. But these are the things I've collected over the years, having to do with the TV show The Waltons, some paper dolls I got from my friend Shane, and different autographs I've sent for over the years. I met Michael Learned, actually had dinner with her once in London, her and her husband. I wrote Richard Thomas and Judy Norton, and to get a picture signed, I got that from Michael as well. And different promotional things. And this really was my first autograph, was from Ellen Corby, of the cast anyway. And I wrote her a note, and I got that nice note autograph. And there's a little story having to do with the front porch of that house. But here's my autograph collection. And I had a hard time, it took a long time to get these all signed. There's the Helen Cleve and Mary Jackson, who played the Baldwin sisters. I don't have Ike and Cora Beth Godsey. Ronnie Claire Edwards, I did have her cookbook at one point in time, but don't know whatever happened to that. But these, as you can see, Earl Hamner signed it. Of course, Ellen Corby, Eric Scott, Cammie Kotler. David Harper, that's all faded too. I drove from Detroit to Chicago with my brother to get his autograph, and it's garbage now. Richard Thomas was another one. I sent it to him. He signed it. I got it back, and it faded. And I actually met him in the lobby of the Roosevelt Hotel and had him re-sign it. But you can see they all signed it, except Will Geer. He was already dead at this point, so I did get this to complete the signatures. So anyway, this is my collection. Oh, and Ellen Corby, when she passed away, had an estate sale. Actually, her life partner, Stella, passed away, and they had an estate sale. And I think Ellen or Stella were really into music boxes, so I got a couple of things. I also found this American flag at the estate sale too. I have a thing about flags. It's the Boy Scout in me, I think. And I rescued that from a box. And this is from my niece. I love this. Okay, so I've got to stop that for probably get flagged for copyright. Anyway, so these are my Walton items. And Mary Jackson, her funeral, I got that from my friend Tilly in Michigan. Okay, so I'm going to stop this. I'm going to go into the cast of the Waltons and how they died. So come with me. Although he actually died in Midway Hospital, the actor Will Geer lived here. Now, what's kind of cool about this place is that there used to be a train that went through here, the Red Line. You can see how the angle of that building, it was built specifically to accommodate that space. So the train would run right through here. And 1334 was Will Geer's address. And apparently it's a 2-bedroom, 1-bathroom cottage. So this is hit. 1330. 32. 34. $13.34. Will Geer lived here until he died on April 22nd, 1978. He was the first of the major Waltons cast members to pass away. Cool little place. So here I am in Topanga Canyon, and I've got my talking Viewmaster, and let's see what this next slide says. It's my Walton set. Okay, Grandpa's going to the Baldwins. Oh, there's Grandpa laying there. Okay, it didn't change. Well, the reason I'm listening to this, gadgets don't last. It's because here I'm at Topanga Canyon, and I'm parked on the side, and right over there is Will Geer's theater. There was a time when Topanga Canyon was sort of out in the sticks, really, forests and wildlife, etc. Now you literally have to risk your life to cross this road. God. Will Geer was married to actress Herta Ware, and they had 3 children together. Geer was a nature lover. He obtained a master's in botany. During the breaks and filming of the Waltons, he would spread wildflower seeds around the Warner Brothers backlot. For several years, he was in a romantic relationship with Harry Hay, the founder of the gay rights movement. Geer was also a member of the Communist Party. When he refused to testify for the Un-American Activities Act, he was blacklisted and devoid of work. He lived in that series of bungalows I showed you earlier. He would also provide food and lodging to others who, most fellow blacklisted show business colleagues, were having trouble supporting themselves. In 1951, Geer and his wife opened the Theatricum Botanicum in Topanga Canyon. It was a place where fellow blacklisted actors and singers could perform, and it was also a nature preserve. Will Geer died between seasons 6 and 7 of The Waltons. Because of his sudden death, they decided to write it into the premiere of season 7. The character is said to have died of a heart attack while planting seeds on the mountain. In reality, Will Geer died on April 22, 1978, of a heart attack. He was 76 years old. His cremains are inurned on the property within or beneath the statue. Will Geer's daughter, actress Ellen Geer, is still the artistic director.
Sunshine is an actress, Harold.
I like to think so.
Wonderful.
Well, now, why don't you two go along down to the music room, and I'll follow on later with some drinks. Oh, perhaps Starlight would like a cigarette.
Oh, sunshine.
Thank you, Mr. Geer. What a beautiful place. So I'm on Harriet Street in West Hollywood, and I am actually standing behind me. That's Lemmy's old place. He used to drink at the Rainbow, which is about 2 blocks from here, and he could just wander home and not worry about being drunk. So, but I'm on Harriet Street because I have a story. I used to write fan letters to people all the time. I'm genuine fan letters. I was hoping to get autographs. In fact, I'd request them. And one time, one of the people I requested an autograph for was Ellen Corby, because I'm a huge Waltons fan. So she sent me back a nice autograph picture with her return address on it. So I came to LA a few months later and I decided to pay her a visit. Unbeknownst to me, it wasn't really a good thing to do. So I knocked on her door and there was no answer. I rang the doorbell and a woman opened up a peephole and she goes, "Who are you? What do you want?" And I said, "I'm just here to see Ellen Corby. I had written her a letter and she wrote me back and this is the address." And I had some flowers with me. So I said, "I just brought some flowers. I don't mean to cause any trouble." So I just put them down on the porch and started walking away slowly. So she ended up being, asked me more about myself. She opened up the door and we talked. And she goes, "Well, Ellen can't see visitors right now. But if you come back tomorrow, I'd be happy to, you two could meet." So unfortunately, I didn't go back the next day. I wanted to, but I was out with a friend who was showing me the graveyards of LA, and I never had an opportunity to do that again. Little did I know I chose the wrong event that day. And I wrote her an apology note, and I got a nice letter back saying they were waiting for me, but no scotch, which was devastating. I've abused that opportunity. So anyway, I'm going to show you her house. Ellen Corby had a spectacular career. I mean, she was on a ton of TV shows, Andy Griffith and I Love Lucy. She was in Vertigo. She was in The Ghost and Mr. Chicken. She was nominated for an Academy Award for the film I Remember Mama. She was perfect as Esther Walton, the wife of Zebulon Walton on the TV show. Now, in November of 1976, when Ellen failed to appear on set, Will Geer became concerned, and either he or a production assistant went to Ellen's home for a welfare check and discovered that she'd had a stroke. It took a long time for her to recover enough, but they brought her back to the show, working the stroke and her struggles with movement and speech into the show. In later life, Ellen maintained contact with cast members, answered fan letters, and watched the Waltons reruns on television, logging them all into a small notebook. Becoming more ill, Ellen moved to the Motion Picture and Television Hospital in Woodland Hills. On the last day of her life, her partner Stella brought Ellen her favorite meal, a Cobb salad from Mirabelle's, and she ate 3/4 of it. Ellen died later that night, April 14th, 1999, of heart failure. She was 87 years old. Her funeral was attended by several cast members, and Michael Learned told me that Earl Hamner specially wrote a single page of script for Ellen and placed it in her cremation niche that she shares with her mother. Here's a promotional folder for the Waltons TV show that my buddy Steve gave me several years ago, and here's a cast photograph. This was just given probably to the Academy to consider for Emmy nominations or something, and promotional for the show. Will Geer and Ellen Corby, and there's Ralph Waite, who played John Walton, the dad, in the show. A former U.S. Marine, Ralph Waite had quite a career. Early on, he was in films like Cool Hand Luke and 5 Easy Pieces. After the run of The Waltons, he appeared in The Bodyguard, Cliffhanger, and several television programs. Ralph Waite had 3 unsuccessful runs for Congress. He and his wife Linda lived a quiet life in Palm Desert. He earned a master's from the Yale Divinity School and became an ordained minister and taught Bible classes. He died on February 13, 2014, in Rancho Mirage of cardiac arrhythmia and cancer. He was 85 years old. Originally from White Plains in New York State, Ralph is buried in the family plot with his daughter, who died in 1964 at the age of 9. The famous house that was featured on the show was based on creator Earl Hamner's family home in Schuyler, Virginia. It was modified from an existing set on the Warner Brothers backlot. It was used for the entire 9-year run of the show. In 1991, there was a fire on the backlot set by a serial arsonist who was responsible for close to 2,000 fires and 4 deaths. When Warner Brothers decided to make the 1993 movie a Walton Thanksgiving reunion, it had to be rebuilt. I took this photograph in 1994 when it was being used for a show called The Adventures of Briscoe County. It was also featured in Falcon Crest and The Gilmore Girls. The Waltons Mountain Schoolhouse still stands. It was used in Gilmore Girls, Pretty Little Liars, and Lost Boys, as well as Gremlins and East of Eden with James Dean. LA Woman Tour's owner and Warner Brothers historian, Elisa Jordan, shared this photograph that represents where the original Waltons house stood. There's now a parking structure on the location, and right about where the tennis court is where the house stood. To the right is the jungle set. The jungle set was created in the 1950s to look like Cuba for an Alan Ladd movie called Santiago. Warner Brothers kept it and continues to use it, though it's smaller now, to accommodate the parking structure. It was used for the pond location on the show. Michael Learned told me a story that they had to adjust their filming schedule to accommodate tour groups that were going through the backlot. At one point, they were filming a scene in the pond. It was Richard Thomas and Will Geer skinny dipping in the pond together. And a tour group came by, and Will Geer and Richard Thomas stood up, bent over, and mooned the tour group. For subsequent reunion specials, another house was built, yet again, this time on the Warner Brothers ranch, about a mile down the street from the main studio. I got the opportunity to walk around that set when it was still up, and it was a real thrill, a very nerdy thrill, to walk around the Waltons' front porch and peek inside, and, although it's empty inside, it was still pretty neat to wander around the Waltons' porch and look in the windows and even use the screen door. All right. It didn't quite work well enough without the sound effect. Thank you for joining me on my trip to Waltons Mountain. I want to thank especially Elisa Jordan for helping with the research on the Warner lot and the photographs, and my friend Michelle for taking the Warner Ranch photographs when we visited. I want to especially thank the wonderful supporters of my page who used the PayPal or the Patreon link below to do so. Skiba Music, Rachel Danchik Klauser, Cherie Canus, Gray Howe, Jill Demick, Monica Boys, Dorothy Burr, and Jolene. Thank you so much for your time and for your attention. And until next time, good night, everyone.